pain, that thing you've been trying to avoid, that thing you keep wishing would just disappear? What if I told you it's not your enemy? See, most people misunderstand pain. They think it's a signal to stop. They think it's a warning that they're not built for this, that maybe this path isn't meant for them. But pain is not there to push you out, it's there to pull something out of you. Something deeper, something stronger, something you didn't even know you had. Think about it. Every time life got hard, every time things didn't go your way, every time you felt like you were being tested beyond your limits, those weren't moments designed to break you. Those were moments designed to reveal you. Because pressure doesn't destroy character, it exposes it. You don't find out who you are when things are easy. You find out who you are when everything inside you is screaming to quit, but something deeper whispers, keep going. That's the moment that defines you. Pain is uncomfortable, yes. It stretches you. It challenges you. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But that's exactly why it matters. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. Growth happens when you step into resistance, when you push against limits, when you decide that who you're becoming is more important than what you're feeling right now. And let's be real, nobody wakes up excited for struggle. Nobody asks for sleepless nights, setbacks, rejection, or failure. But those are the ingredients of transformation. That's the price of becoming something greater than you are today. You can't skip the process. Every strong person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, every individual who built something meaningful, they all walk through pain, not around it, not away from it, through it. And that's the difference. Most people run when it gets hard. They look for the exit. They search for comfort. They convince themselves that maybe this isn't worth it, maybe they're not capable, maybe they should just settle. But the ones who rise, the ones who win, they do something different. They lean in. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? That shift right there, that mindset changes everything. Because now pain is no longer a punishment, it's a teacher. It's showing you where you're weak so you can become stronger. It's exposing your limits so you can break through them. It's forcing you to grow into the person you need to be to reach that next level. And yeah, it's not easy. There will be days when you feel drained, when your energy is low, when your confidence is shaken. There will be moments when quitting feels like the most logical option, when stopping seems like the only way to escape the discomfort. But understand this, every time you choose to keep going in those moments, you're building something inside yourself that nobody can take away from you. Resilience.
Strength.
Comfort. That's built in the fire. So when it hurts, don't panic. When it gets difficult, don't retreat. When you feel like you've reached your limit, don't assume that's the end. That might just be the beginning of something greater. Because the truth is, you're stronger than you think, but you'll never realize it if you keep avoiding the very thing that's meant to reveal it. Pain is not your enemy, it's your proving ground. It's where average ends and greatness begins. So the next time life tests you, the next time things don't go your way, the next time you feel that pressure building up inside you, don't run from it. Stand in it, embrace it, use it, because that moment, that uncomfortable, challenging, overwhelming moment might be the exact moment that shapes your future. And when you come out on the other side, Dan, you won't just be someone who survived it, you'll be someone who grew because of it. Motivation, that feeling you wait for, that spark you hope shows up before you take action, that little voice that says, I'll start when I feel ready. Let me tell you something straight, if you keep waiting for motivation, you're gonna be waiting for the rest of your life. Because motivation is inconsistent, it's emotional, it's unpredictable. One day you wake up feeling powerful, ready to take on the world, and the next day you can't even convince yourself to get out of bed. That's the nature of it. It rises, it falls, it disappears when you need it most. And if your dreams depend on something that's unstable, then your dreams are already in trouble. See, the people who make it, the people who actually build something with their lives, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on something stronger, something deeper, something that doesn't care how they feel. They rely on discipline. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask you how you're feeling today. It doesn't care if you're tired, distracted, or uninspired. Discipline says you said you were going to do this, so do it. No excuses, no delays, no negotiations. That's where the shift happens. Because the moment you stop asking yourself, do I feel like doing this? and start telling yourself, this needs to be done. You take control. You move from emotion to decision, and decisions repeated over time build results. Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something with excitement, full of energy, full of passion, only to stop when that feeling faded? That's motivation. It gets you started, but it won't carry you to the finish line. Discipline will. Discipline is waking up early when your body is begging for more sleep. Discipline is showing up when nobody is watching. Discipline is doing the work when it's boring, repetitive, and uncomfortable. That's the part people don't talk about. They celebrate the outcome, but they ignore the process. And the process is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's not always rewarding in the moment. But it's necessary, because success is not built on what you do occasionally, it's built on what you do consistently. And consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from commitment. You have to decide not once, but every single day that you're gonna show up for your goals regardless of how you feel. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you won't. Some days everything will flow. Other days it will feel like a struggle just to begin. Do it anyway. Because every time you push through without motivation, you strengthen your discipline. And every time you strengthen your discipline, you reduce your dependence on motivation. That's how you build momentum. That's how you separate yourself. Most people stop when it gets hard. They wait for the right mood, the right time, the right feeling. But the truth is, the right time is now, and the right mindset is action. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be willing. And willingness turns into habit. Habit turns into consistency. Turns into results. That's the formula. So stop chasing motivation like it's some magic solution. It's not. It's temporary. It's unreliable. It's a bonus, not a foundation. Build your foundation on discipline. Make a decision. Set a standard. And hold yourself to it no matter what. Because when you reach that point, when you can show up and do the work without needing to feel inspired, you become dangerous in the best way possible. You become unstoppable. So the next time you say, I don't feel like it, understand something, that's exactly why you need to do it. Nobody is coming. Let that sit with you for a moment. Really feel it. No one is on their way to knock on your door and hand you the life you've been dreaming about. No one is going to show up at the perfect time with the perfect words and suddenly fix everything that's been holding you back. There's no rescue team assigned to your potential. No secret moment where everything becomes easy. It's just you. And I know that truth can feel heavy. It can feel uncomfortable, even a little unfair. Because sometimes you want help. Sometimes you want someone to see how hard you're trying, to recognize your struggle, to step in and lift the weight off your shoulders. But life doesn't work like that. And here's the shift. The moment you stop waiting for someone to save you is the exact moment you start saving yourself. Because as long as you're waiting, you're stuck, waiting for support, waiting for approval, waiting for the right time, waiting for someone to believe in you before you believe in yourself. And while you're waiting, time is moving. Opportunities are passing. And that version of you, the one you keep imagining, the one capable of doing more, being more, achieving more, that version is still waiting too. Not for someone else, but for you to step up. You see, responsibility is power. The moment you say, this is on me, everything changes, because now you're no longer a victim of circumstances or the creator of outcomes. Now you're not blaming the past, your environment, or the people around you. You're taking control of what happens next. And control, that's where your strength lives. But don't get it twisted. Taking responsibility doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean the path suddenly clears or the obstacles disappear. What it means is that you stop making excuses. No more I'll start when, no more if only they had, no more it's because of number. You draw a line right there and say, from this point forward, it's on me. And that's not a burden, that's freedom. Because now you don't need permission. You don't need validation. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need action. And action doesn't require anyone else. It requires you to wake up and decide every single day that you're going to do something, no matter how small that moves your life forward. That's how change begins. Not with a grand moment, not with a dramatic breakthrough, but with a quiet decision. I'm done waiting.
You start where you are.
You use what you have. You do what you can. And then you do it again tomorrow. See, a lot of people stay stuck because they've convinced themselves they need more and more support, more resources, more confidence before they begin. But the truth is, what you need most is already within you. You just haven't fully claimed it yet. Your effort, your focus, your willingness to keep going even when it's hard. That's yours. No one can give it to you and no one can take it away. So instead of looking around, asking who's going to help me, start asking what can I do right now? Because the answer to that question is where your power is. And here's something else you need to understand when you start showing up for yourself consistently, relentlessly, without excuses. People will notice. Opportunities will start to appear. Doors will begin to open. Support may even come. But it doesn't come at the beginning. It comes after you prove to yourself first that you're serious, that you're committed, that you're not waiting anymore. So stop looking for someone to carry you. Stand up, carry yourself, because you're stronger than you've been acting, more capable than you've been believing, and more ready than you've been admitting. This life, this dream, this future you keep thinking about, it's not going to be handed to you. It's going to be built by you, step by step, choice by choice, day by day. Failure, that word alone is enough to make people stop before they even begin. It carries weight. It carries fear. It carries the kind of doubt that whispers, what if you're not good enough? So people avoid it. They play safe. They stay in places where they won't be tested, where they won't risk falling short. But let me tell you something clearly. If you're trying to build anything meaningful in your life, failure is not just possible, it's guaranteed. You're going to miss. You're going to fall short. You're going to put your heart into something and watch it not work out the way you expected. And in those moments, it's going to feel personal. It's going to feel like maybe this isn't for you, like maybe you're not built for this path, like maybe you should just stop while you're ahead. That's the lie. Failure is not a verdict on who you are. It's feedback on what you did. There's a difference. But most people don't see it that way. They take one loss, one mistake, one setback, and they turn it into an identity. I failed, so I must be a failure. And that belief is what keeps them stuck. Because once you label yourself like that, you stop trying. You stop pushing. You stop growing. But the truth is, every single step forward you'll ever take is built on something that didn't go right first. You don't learn by getting everything perfect. You learn by getting it wrong and having the courage to try again with more awareness, more experience, and more strength than before. Think about it. Every time you fail, something is being revealed to you. A gap in your strategy, a weakness in your preparation, a lesson you couldn't have learned any other way. That's not defeat, that's direction. Failure is showing you where to adjust, where to improve, where to rise. But only if you're willing to look at it that way, because you have two choices when things don't go your way. You can step back and say, this is the end, or you can step forward and say, this is part of it. And that choice, that mindset determines everything. The people who succeed are not the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who refuse to be stopped by it. They fall, but they don't stay down. They lose, but they don't lose themselves. They struggle, but they don't surrender. That's the difference. And let's be real for a moment, it's not easy to keep going after you've failed. It takes something deeper. It takes resilience. It takes belief. It takes a kind of inner strength that says, I may have lost this round, but I'm not done yet. Because success is not built in one perfect moment. It's built through a series of imperfect ones. Through the late nights where nothing seems to be working. Through the moments of doubt where you question everything. Through the setbacks that test whether you really want this or just like the idea of it. That's the process. And you can't skip it. You can't jump from where you are to where you want to be without going through the lessons in between. And those lessons, they often come disguised as failure. So instead of fearing it, use it. Study it. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? What can I do better next time? How can this make me stronger? Because every time you respond like that, you turn failure into fuel. You turn setbacks into setups. You turn obstacles into opportunities. And over time, something powerful starts to happen. You stop being afraid to fail. You start being willing to try. And that willingness, that's where growth lives. Because once fear no longer controls you, nothing can hold you back. So don't run from failure. Don't hide from it. Don't let it define you. Face it. learn from it, rise through it. Because the only people who never fail are the ones who never try. And that's not the life you're here to live. You're here to push limits, to take risks, to chase something bigger than your comfort zone. And that journey, it comes with setbacks, but it also comes with growth, with strength, with transformation. So when you fall in, don't let that be the end of your story. Your mind, that's where the real battle is happening. Not out there, not in your circumstances, not in what people say about you. The real fight, the one that decides whether you rise or fall, is happening between your ears every single day. Because before anything happens in your life, it happens in your mind first. Every doubt you feel started as a thought. Every excuse you make started as a thought. Every reason you give
Yourself to stop started as a thought.
And if you don't learn how to control that space will control you. See, your mind is powerful, but it's also undisciplined if you let it be. It will drift toward comfort. It will look for the easy way out. It will remind you of every past failure, every mistake, every reason why you might not make it. That voice, you know it. It tells you you're tired. It tells you this is too hard. It tells you maybe this isn't for you. And if you listen long enough, you start to believe it. That's how people lose, not because they aren't capable, but because they convince themselves they aren't. But here's the truth: you don't have to accept every thought that comes into your mind. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's true. And that right there is where your power begins. Because once you realize that your thoughts are not commands, they're suggestions, you can start choosing which ones to follow and which ones to ignore. That's discipline at a deeper level. That's mental control. And it doesn't happen overnight. You have to train it. Just like your body needs exercise, your mind needs conditioning. You have to catch those negative thoughts when they show up. You have to challenge them, replace them, redirect them. When your mind says, I can't, you answer back, I will. When it says, I'm not ready, you respond, I don't need to be, I'm starting anyway. When it says, this is too much, you say, this is what I came for. That's how you shift. Because the goal is not to eliminate doubt completely. The goal is to not let doubt control your actions. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. And your mind will test that courage constantly. There will be mornings when your thoughts are heavy, when your energy feels low, when everything inside you is pulling you in the opposite direction of your goals. That's not weakness, that's the battlefield. And on that battlefield, you have two choices. You can surrender to those thoughts, or you can stand your ground. Standing your ground doesn't mean you feel perfect. It means you act with purpose anyway. It means you show up even when your mind is trying to talk you out of it. It means you refuse to let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. Because here's what most people don't understand: your mind takes orders from what you repeatedly do. If you keep quitting when it gets hard, your mind learns that quitting is the solution. If you keep pushing when it gets tough, your mind learns that persistence is the answer. So every action you take is training your mindset. You're either building strength or reinforcing weakness. And over time, that compounds. The more you win those small internal battles, the stronger your mind becomes. The stronger your focus becomes, the more control you have over your direction. Until one day, the same thoughts that used to stop you don't even faze you anymore, because you've built something stronger than them. You've built belief. Not loud, emotional belief, but quiet, unshakable confidence in your ability to keep going no matter what shows up in your head. That's the level you want to reach. Where your thoughts don't control you, you control them. Where doubt can speak, but it doesn't get the final say. Where fear can exist, but it doesn't stop your movement. Because once you win that battle inside, the outside world becomes a lot less intimidating. So don't underestimate what's happening in your mind. Pay attention to it. Train it, discipline it. You keep telling yourself you need a big breakthrough, a massive opportunity, a perfect moment where everything changes overnight. That's what you've been waiting for, isn't it? That one move that flips your entire life. But life doesn't work like that. Real change, lasting change, doesn't come from one giant leap. It comes from small steps taken consistently over and over again, long after the excitement fades. And I know that's not what most people want to hear, because small steps don't feel impressive. They don't look powerful. They don't get applause. Nobody celebrates the quiet effort, the daily grind, the little things that seem like they don't matter. But those little things, They are everything. Because what you do once doesn't define you. What you do repeatedly does. You don't build strength in a single workout. You don't build success in a single day. You don't build a future in one big decision. You build it in the choices you make every day, especially the ones that feel insignificant. That's where the shift has to happen in your mindset. Stop looking for the dramatic, start respecting the consistent, because consistency is what separates people who talk about change from people who actually create it. Think about it like this. Every small action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, that's a vote. Every time you show up. When you don't feel like it, that's a vote. Every time you push just a little further, that's a vote. And those votes add up. Not in a day, not in a week, but over time they create momentum. And momentum is powerful. At first it feels slow, almost invisible, like nothing is really happening. You're putting in the effort, but the results aren't showing up yet. That's the phase where most people quit because they expect immediate rewards for consistent work. But the truth is, results are delayed. You have to put in the effort first and trust that it's building something beneath the surface, like planting a seed. You don't plant it today and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, you protect it, you give it time. And even when you can't see growth above the ground, something is happening below it. Roots are forming, strength is building, and one day it breaks through. That's how your progress works. Every small step you take is strengthening your foundation. It's preparing you for something bigger. Even if you can't see it yet, it's happening. But only if you keep going, because consistency is fragile. It's easy to break. One skip day turns into two. Two turns into a week. And before you know it, you're back where you started, not because you failed, but because you stopped. That's the danger, not failure, interruption. So protect your consistency like it matters, because it does. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't stress about doing everything at once. Focus on doing something every day, even when it's small, even when it feels like it's not enough, even when nobody notices. Do it anyway. Because those small efforts are shaping your identity. You're becoming someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't rely on big moments but creates results through daily action. And that identity, that's what carries you. Because once you become that person, success is no longer something you chase, it becomes something you build naturally, step by step, day by day, choice by choice. So stop overwhelming yourself with how far you have to go. Stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. Stop waiting until you feel ready to take a massive leap. You don't need a leap. You need a step, and then another, and then another. That's how distance is covered. That's how goals are reached. That's how lives are changed. One step at a time. So right now, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, don't think about the whole journey. Just think about the next step. What's one thing you can do today that moves you forward? Do that. And when tomorrow comes, do it again. When things get heavy, when the pressure builds, when the progress feels slow, there is one question that can either bring you back to life or push you further away from your purpose. Why did you start? Not what you're doing right now. Not what's frustrating you today. Not what's making you doubt yourself in this moment. Go back, way back to the beginning. The first time you thought about this dream, the first time something inside you said, there's more for me than this, because that version of you, the one who started, wasn't weak. That version of you had vision. That version of you believed in something before you had proof, before results, before validation, before anyone clapped for you. And somewhere along the way, you started losing touch with that version of yourself, not because the dream changed, but because the struggle showed up. And struggle has a way of doing that to people. It doesn't just test your strength, it tests your memory. It makes you forget what you said you wanted when everything was clear in your mind and everything felt possible. But here's the truth, your purpose didn't disappear. It just got buried under pressure, under doubt, under setbacks, under the weight of expectation and frustration. And if you're not careful, you start confusing temporary struggle with permanent failure. You start thinking, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this isn't for me. But that's the moment you need to pause, not quit. Because the strongest thing you can do when everything feels unclear is to reconnect with your reason. Why did you start this journey? Was it freedom? Was it growth? Was it the desire to become someone better than who you were yesterday? Whatever it was, it mattered enough to make you begin. And that beginning required courage. More courage than you give yourself credit for right now. Most people never even start. They stay in the idea phase. They stay in planning and thinking and waiting. But you didn't. You stepped forward. You took action. You moved when it wasn't comfortable. That alone says something about you. So don't disrespect your starting point by quitting in the middle of your story, because every journey has this moment, the middle, the messy part, the part where excitement fades and discipline is tested, the part where results are slow and doubts are loud. And this is where most people break. Not at the beginning and not at the end, but right here in the middle. Because the middle feels like nothing is happening. It feels like effort without reward, movement without progress. But that's an illusion. Progress is still happening. It's just not loud yet. And this is where remembering your why becomes your anchor. When everything else feels unstable, your reason keeps you grounded. When motivation disappears, your purpose keeps you moving. You don't need a new dream. You need a stronger connection to the one you already have. Because your why is not just a thought, it's fuel. It's what pulls you forward when everything else is pushing you back. And if your reason is weak, you'll quit when it gets hard. But if your reason is strong, you'll adapt. You'll adjust. You'll endure. So maybe the real question isn't just why did I start, but also have I been protecting my reason or slowly letting it fade? Because life has a way of distracting you. Responsibilities, problems, opinions, expectations, all of it can pull you away from what matters if you're not intentional about staying connected to it. That's why you have to keep reminding yourself, not once, not occasionally, but constantly. Write it down, think about it, return to it when you feel lost. Because the moment you forget why you started, you become vulnerable to quitting. But the moment you remember it again, something shifts. Your energy changes, your focus returns. Your strength comes back not because the situation changed, but because you did. And suddenly what felt impossible becomes manageable again. Not easy, but possible. And that's all you need to keep going. Because you don't have to see the full path. You just need to stay connected to the reason you stepped onto it in the first place. So don't let the noise of struggle erase the clarity of your beginning. Go back to it. Hold on to it. Let it guide you through this phase. Because the same reason that made you start is strong. Enough to help you finish. Now be honest with yourself. In this moment of struggle, are you remembering why you started or forgetting what made you begin in the first place?